to the podcast. I appreciate you taking time for me.
Kids benefit just from participating.
Creating a sense of hope in some of the most hopeless scenarios.
I learn from my mistakes and my error.
Every single day when you feel like quitting, find motivation. All right, thank you so much for being here. As you see, we switched up the scenes a little bit. You might see some of us in some stools, but today our guest is so special. We brought the barber chairs out, y'all. You see them. But I'm honored to be here. Before I get involved and kind of talk about who she is, as always, I want to open up with a quick thought, a quick word. You know, it's so easy for us to do our work and do our work well, but it's easy to do the work and forget why we do it. And one of the powerful things about remembering your why is that you won't have things like mission drift. You won't have things like giving up. And you have things like, I'll do it whether I get paid or not. Judge Mathis said something once that was so powerful. You know, sometimes I watch Judge Mathis when I'm bored. And he had somebody up there that was sucking up to him and doing all this. And I was like, you know, where's this person going? And they was like, Judge, I want to be a mentor. I want to be a judge like you. And he looked them in the eyes and said, don't do it for money because you won't be successful. He said, I want you to find something in life that you'll do for free, but somebody will pay you for it. And today we have somebody who I believe, whether they get paid or not, they want to get paid. They'll do it for free. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to the podcast, the one and only Maggie Lewis. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for the invitation.
I was trying to match you because I like to dress and match, but I didn't know black was the color. So thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. And
wonderful.
You?
Wonderful. I'm well.
Great.
You know, this podcast is really important because we deal with the slogan. You might see on the wall, grooming the outer man and guiding the inner man. And when I thought of people to get on the podcast, I had to think of you. Now, I typically do not go into deep background, but I just want to brag on you a little bit.
Okay.
In the barbershop, we have sitting in the chair, the first city council president that was elected to lead that was a female. Mm-hmm. And I believe that is absolutely powerful, particularly because we got young people who need to look at others to see themselves there. Mm-hmm. So that leads to my first question. How did you become Maggie? What's your why? Before Maggie now, I want to know, how did you become that? And who was the mentor in your life to make it happen?
Mm-hmm. We'll start with the mentor, my mother, right? My mother had me at the age of 16.
Really?
Yes, worked 2 and 3 jobs to ensure that we had everything that we needed in life. I had no idea I was poor until I went off to college, right?
What?
Right.
16? I didn't know that.
Yeah, 16. So, you know, if I would have listened to all the stereotypes and all the things that people said about me, I would have grown up to be a woman on welfare with tons of kids doing Lord knows what, right? But instead, my mother told me at an early age that I was called to do great things. Never defined what great things were, but she told me early on that I was called to do great things. So I knew my entire life that Maggie was going to do something with her life, and she was going on to be great.
Come on, you better open us up with a written word. I feel like in the church said, "Can I get an amen?"
Right.
That's good.
Yeah, she was 16, right? She had a lot of wisdom to be 16, and she just poured into me. So again, I knew that I had to get it right, and I knew that she did not do all that sacrificing and moving and shifting just for me to be ordinary.
That's powerful. Thank you for sharing that. 16. Your mother told you that you're going to do something great. Mm-hmm. I often tell people, there's a scripture, one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible, life or death is in the power of your tongue. Mm-hmm. What I take that as, Maggie, is that what you say to, over, and direct it towards someone has power.
It has power. There's powers in words, right?
Absolutely.
Again, I knew early on that I was called to do great things. Didn't know what great meant, didn't know what I was going to do, but I just knew that there was a calling on my life.
How did you fight the spirit of limitation? Because oftentimes when you want to do great things, people who have greatest intentions will tell you that this is what you can do and how you can do it. Your whole life has been without limits. How did you overcome that?
I tuned everybody else out, right? I'm a person of faith. I know that there's a calling on my life. I put my head down and just kept moving forward. And again, there's been bumps along the way, right? And then there's that chatter that gets to you sometimes. But again, my faith and my mom, my family, like again, I just put my head down and just keep plugging away. Again, I know that this is just a test, right?
Absolutely.
It's just a test.
Absolutely.
And so I know that I'm going to get to the other side if I just stay focused.
What's your definition of mentorship?
Mentorship, that's another great question. Mentorship, someone that you can go to and just be yourself and have conversations and know that those conversations are going to stay between the two of you. Someone that will tell you when you're wrong, even though you know that you may be wrong, but you know, we're stubborn sometimes, right? I'm stubborn at times, but again, someone that's willing to call you out on your stuff, right? And someone who wants the best for you, right?
That's powerful. The best, call you out. That's good. So I gotta go here. If somebody see me and my kids at the game, and one of my students says, Mr. Yakey, you got AI kids. I'm like, what's AI kids? Artificial intelligence, they almost perfect, like you generate them. I'm like, wow, I just learned something new.
That's good, I did not know that.
Yeah, me either. I'm trying to work on sliding that in so I can be cool with my daughter now. So if you can generate an AI mentor, what would they have and who would they be?
Again, my mom's been a great mentor. I have a lot of mentors, men and women. And again, it's more about them being willing to come alongside me and help push me forward, not tell me the things that they think I want to hear, because oftentimes I'm also a politician, right? People often tell me what they think I want to hear. Those mentors, I'm like, no, Maggie Ann, that's not right. And they say Maggie Ann, right? And they help me get right back.
So your middle name is Ann?
It's Maggie Ann.
Can we tag Maggie Ann on this, please? Thank you.
It's good country, right?
That's
but
good.
again, they tell me that they're honest with me about what's happening with me, around me, and I need that, and they help me stay focused.
That's good, Maggie Ann. Thank you. So, no, it's great. It's funny that you brought up politicians. I had one of the people on my podcast who was talking about something. It was great. He said, oftentimes in the African American culture and community, when we heard the word politics, people say, I ain't into politics, man. I'm not doing that. And he brought out a great point. He said, if you ain't into the politics, it's like fighting with your hands behind your back. He said, it's really about relationships. What caused you to get into politics?
But can I go back to this word politician?
Yeah.
I used to think that it was a dirty word, right?
Yeah,
and people
a lot
like,
do.
I don't think of it as a dirty word, right? And again, for those who think that they don't do politics, well, we do politics, you do politics, we do you, right? So everything that I do impacts your quality of life, and therefore you need to pay attention to what happens in that political world, whether you do it or not. What I do impacts your quality of life, and so I just encourage people to stop saying that, to dig in deep and figure out what it is about politics or politicians that you don't like, because again, we impact everything that happens in your life, your quality of life, right? So we gotta get past that. Your original question, why did I get it?
What was your why?
What was my why behind it? Honestly, I ended up doing it because I was afraid. And so there was an opening on the city county council. Folks were like, oh, we believe that you're...
Because you was afraid.
I did it because I was afraid, right? I was scared. So I was already busy in my neighborhood, attending task force meetings, neighborhood association meetings, working the polls, doing all the stuff a good Democrat or a good Republican would do, right? I was doing the stuff. An opening came up at the city county council level. Folks were like, oh, we think you'll be ready for it, you're good for this. And I was like, nothing about my upbringing, the way that I was living my life, my family was living their life. We're not out stealing or doing anything like that, but nothing about the way that I was raised and was living my life suggested that I would ever go on to run for public office, right? So in typical Maggie form, I started this list of the pros and cons. And then I had conversation with my family and with my husband, and everybody's like, yeah, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. The only reason that I wasn't gonna do it was because I was afraid. I didn't want people talking about me. I didn't want people talking about my family. And again, at the end of the day, the only reason that I wasn't gonna do it was I was afraid, I was scared. But also, again, I said I was a person of faith. That I'm always talking about this God that guides me, right?
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
That has me, that's gonna protect me. And I'm like, okay, Maggie, if you're always waving this flag that you're a Christian, but yet you're afraid, how powerful is your God? So, again, I was afraid, I was scared, but I decided I had to jump. And so I jumped.
Wow, that's heavy. Fear calls you to take over. Fear calls you to lead. How has failure impacted your life?
Oh, I mess up, and when I mess up hard, right? But again, I learn from my mistakes and my error, right? There's a lesson behind everything, and I figure out what I did wrong, where I went wrong, I adjust and keep it pushing. I don't allow it to like keep me down. My mom tells me to this day, you get one day to cry and be all in your feelings, and after that, you gotta get it up. You get up, put your lipstick on, and keep it moving, right? My mom tells me that all the time.
I love your mom.
One day.
I like your mama. You get one day.
Right, suck it up.
Yeah, I think Ty Tribbett got a song says "Only for a Night" though.
Yeah,
Have you heard that?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember you think of it. So I got daughters, Maggie. I'm blessed. Mary got daughters, and I am really big on women in leadership and why we need to showcase that more. First, thank you for choosing to do it. I'm going to ask a question because we have students that submit. So I want you to talk to my girls, talk to the babies, talk to them, and women who are watching this. If you could tell yourself 14, 15, 16, what you know now, what you didn't know then, what would that be?
The first thing I would suggest is that we slow down, right? They say slow down, smell the roses. There's something in that of slowing down and being in the moment. There's been times where I get so busy doing the work that I forget to stay in the moment. So at a young age, I was so focused about being successful that I forgot to celebrate along the way. I forgot to slow down and make those memories, because life really does happen fast, right? When you're young, you don't really think that that's just chatter, right?
Yeah.
That's just people in your ear, old folks in your ear saying.
It is, yeah.
So again, I would suggest that you slow down, smell the roses, make the memories. And then remember that it all is just a test, right?
Man.
It is just a test.
You talking to me right now. Let me cross my leg. That's good.
Yeah.
Just a test.
It's just a test.
That's good.
And when we start talking about everybody saying this and everybody, who is everybody? We get caught up in that notion that everybody's watching me and everybody's doing this. No, they're not. You're not that important. You're not that important.
That's
and
weird.
I have to remind myself of that too. One thing about reminding yourself that, again, you are important. You're special, right? Like, I don't want to take that away from anybody. I don't want that. But you're not that important.
Absolutely.
That the world's just stopping.
Absolutely.
Because you forgot to put on your stockings or put on lipstick or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that deep. And then the last thing I will say, don't believe the press, right? Don't get caught up in yourself and reading the press, because just as quickly as they put you up here, they can also knock you down here, right? So you have to take the time to understand who you are and what your why is, so that this outside world doesn't get you tripped up.
Thank you. The wisdom and the nuggets that you shared are this, not beyond that. And I love how you brought out, and I want to say this, that mentorship is not gender specific.
It's not.
You are mentoring a lot of people, black, white, boy, and girls. Thank you for what you do for our city.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
And thank you for being here with us. But I have to ask you this, because you also lead a phenomenal organization called Boys and Girls Club. And you got to there, I'm sure there's a way. Talk to us a little bit about Boys and Girls Club.
I love the Boys and Girls Club. And you said find a position that you would do for free. I would absolutely do that gig for free. I love it. It feeds my soul, my spirit. They say the kids are our future. They really are our future. I was a club kid 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So for me to be able to, 1,000 years ago, in Columbus, Indiana.
Come on.
I went there because my mom had to get out there and hustle and work those 2 and 3 jobs to ensure that we had everything that we need. So in order for me to come back and be able to serve as the CEO of this organization, like my soul is happy. Our kids are amazing. They just need those mentors to come alongside them and help them, stay focused and figure out what they want to do. And, at the Boys and Girls Club, we just want to make sure that all of our kids grow up to be productive citizens, good citizens. That's all. And growing up in our community, specifically in the Black and Brown community, we can't take that for granted, right? Right? So again, we provide this safe place where kids can go and just be kids, but also get that mentorship and that support that they need.
Maggie, thank you so much for being with us.
My honor. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. Y'all, I told you this is going to be legit. This is what we do here. Thank you all so much for taking time. You can find out more about Maggie Lewis by simply going to Google I'm telling you. She got about 20 images out there doing great things, but more importantly, you will find her doing something that she talked about, serving the Lord with gladness. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you, and thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
All right, we out. Thanks.